may see it as, a bit archaic and fetish. What are your thoughts?
There's so many wrong perceptions, and they have been depicting our culture and tradition as being fetish. This is not so. Our culture and tradition doesn't have anything to do with worshipping idols, or it's embedded. Actually, there's more divinity and spiritualism in our own culture. You can see that we are the only ones, the Yoruba people are the only ones that actually prostrate. Mm-hmm. That's to demonstrate what actually God instructs us to do anytime we want to pray. The Muslims pray when they put their head down. And the same thing, the Christians, when they want to pray to God, they kneel down. You can see the hand of God in our own tradition. But when it comes to idol worshiping, there was nothing like that. It was people, after some time, people lost it. Our great father, Oduduwa, was never an idol worshiper. And everything about our culture is not even idol worshiping. Should not be idol worshiping in our culture, especially as a king. Like what I said in the news the last time, I said kings should not be. Some people started asking me, are you saying that idol worshiping shouldn't be eradicated totally and stuff like that? Some idol worshippers. I said, I'm talking to the kings. A king should not worship idol. A king should not become. I'm talking about the kings. A king is bearing the name of God. Only God is the king. Humans are not the king. But God will put you in a position for you to answer to his name on earth. And when God gives you that name, you shouldn't subject the name of God to be bowing down to something that is lesser than God. You, a king. You should have the authority. Thank God I have my own authority. And I boast of it all the time. Mm-hmm. Because I can actually pray and say, this is it. It's the authority of God stays with you when you don't actually subject the name of God to lesser God. Mm. And that's why you can, as a king, you can pray like this and say, let it be better for you by the power of God that put me on the throne. Believe me, it must. And that's why you see our land right now, in 7 months that I got here, we're using that same authority of God to actually pray for the land. And the land is actually, a dead land is actually coming to life. Yes, many has put the name of God. Our king should not. A king should never belong to any secret part. You should belong to the, you should belong to the group of God. All kings should go back to God. And actually, if you are there before, go. Any other person, I'm not talking for any other person in Nigeria. Anybody from the population. I'm talking about kings.
Now, talking about, authority and the untold story of Iwo land, yes. You've been, coming out with fresh revelations as to some of the deepest histories yes. of this land. Yes. And one of it being that, the Iwo has a connection, Iwo land has a connection to, the crown in Ife.
Yes.
Could you shed a bit more light into this connection?
Iwo is actually the same crown that they are using in Ife is what Iwo is using here, because the sitting Oni that time is the one I actually gave Telu, who was supposed to bring the crown here but never got here. He got to only 5 kilometers away. He's the one that they gave him the crown, and he was the only one that actually has a ruling house in Ife today, which falls it's a Owodo Luwo royal family, which falls under the is a subsection of the gazetted Lafogido ruling house. A person from that family can actually vie to become Oluwo. Yes, from Owodo Luwo royal family, you can actually contest to become Oluwo, and somebody in Iwo too can actually go to Ife and say, I want to contest to be an Oni. Yes,
Okay.
And that's how Iwo crown is very, very important. This land was predicted. We were told to come to the land of the abode of the powers with a very strong warning that if you don't get there, don't wear the crown. If you don't get there, don't stop. Telu never got here. It was like the Moses in the desert now. Use 40. Look at Egypt to Israel. It's not far. It's not even a day's walk. The same thing, Telu from Ife. It never got here. He only got to Igborita, which is 5 kilometers away. That's where he passed. And since then, we haven't seen any of his traces here. But when I got on, the day I got installed, November 9th, that's when God told me past night. When people start yelling, Ilufemi Loye, Ilufemi Loye, which means people want you to be king. God told me right there and then that you are Telu the first. You came back. The authority to actually start this land, to establish this land, has come and has down on this land.
Now, you're also one of the, very few Obas, if not the only Oba, whose queen wears a crown.
Yes.
As in, I'm sure that's a bit controversial for some kings. What provoked that for you? What inspired that?
I checked. The queens of Oduduwa. He has one. Oduduwa would have not married a lot. He married one first, which is Yemoso. Yemoso is now the one that they call Olokun. Go and look at the Olokun's head. Just Google. Anybody can Google Ori Olokun and see the head of Olokun. When you see the head of Olokun, just take a look at it. What do you see on the head? That's the first queen. That's the first wife of our great, loving, beautiful father, Oduduwa. God bless him where he is. A very wonderful father. A father that actually loves his children, and today we are blessed to have that kind of father. And he is the one that the first queen that he has. That's the Yemoso, and she has a crown. So anybody from the lineage of Oduduwa, any king from that, the queen should wear a crown. And if anybody don't want to wear it, but if anybody criticize that, it means that they don't know their history. People that want to criticize me, they don't know that every city has its own history. The history of this town, this is the first mosque in the whole of Southwest, 1655. 1655. This is when the first mosque this is right there, and it's called the Mosque of the King.
Now, talking about criticisms, I know that at some point people, kind of criticized you for wearing Western clothes on the throne. Let me ask you what your thoughts about Western influences are, in traditional things.
Yes. I said something when there was an interview after that. I said, if my forefathers were opportuned to actually wear this, when it comes to suit, what does that mean? It means civilization. It means modern times. If my forefathers actually, in the king's past, if they were opportune to actually own a gun, they would be able to defend themselves. There won't be no slavery. My children will not go into slavery. Don't you think that?
Obviously.
If my forefathers had the privilege to own a car that time, or to be on an airplane, we won't be walking to Mecca. That hard work and people dying on the way. If my forefathers actually, if they have lenses, corrective lenses today, people will not go blind. There are many things that actually this thing has rubber. If it was the reverse was the case, what do you think here will be? We should actually put the old and the modern and we'll bring it together. And that's why we are coming with, we cannot actually, why it means, and the statement I'm making is that we cannot actually ask our children today to do what? To actually be wearing this. We can't win that war. We lost them to that already. We can't win that war of telling them to wear agbada or to wear danshiki made of ofi. Even if you wear this ofi to a school, a university student who wears a ofi to school right now and put beads on, what do you think they will call him? An idol worshiper. Is either if he's not a king or a chief, is an idol worshiper. So how do we bring our children back into our own culture? What we do is to we look with insight. What can actually make this country great is actually here. We're looking for it outside, but it's actually here. Let me tell you, this is close to what you call jeans. I branded what is called Ofi. This is our Ofi, and it's called local materials. It doesn't have an English name, so I branded it as Telu jeans. Or in Yoruba, you can call it jeans the Telu. But what we'll be using it for now will not be. It's by choice. You can use it to do your own agbada if there's a marriage, because that's only we can tell our children to do now if there's a marriage or any. So what we do, if you can't beat them, you join them. What you do, use our own cloth, make contemporaries. Believe me, there are many Telu jeans Ofi like this with different nice, beautiful colors that you can use to make a nice suit. Bankers can be wearing it. People in stock exchange, schools, students, we can use it to actually make jeans. There are many other colors which is not white like this. Beautiful colors, pink, blue, and with all kind of different. We are colored people. Doesn't matter what you say. You see a black man. When you see our clothes, we make it colors. We are colored people because we're not only just one color. We're not white. We have brown, chocolate, caramel, Nubian. Everything is in us. That's why we're so unique. Believe me, you use this to make a jeans trouser. Just imagine how beautiful that would be. Yeah. Imagine if we're not wearing the white people's clothes and we're wearing only our cloth. We're only wearing our own. Do you know how many jobs we're to create for this economy?
Obviously.
That's a great one. Yes, and that's why we're saying that award the suit so that they can see the statement I'm making.
Now, as we wind up to a close, you've also been at the forefront of an advocacy for the correct placement of royal fathers in the scheme of things. By scheme of things, I mean in politics, in governance, as in. Now, what as fueled this passion for the placement of kings and royal fathers in the economy?
Because that's what we had before. Before we subject ourselves. We put ourselves down spiritually. When you're not good inside anymore, the outside has to be rotten. When your inside is actually messed up, but you're not healthy anymore. Spiritually, we're down. We call it Ijoba. Ijoba means Ijo Awoba. Now, it means the group of kings. But now, who owns the group of kings? It is the president, the senator, the governor, and the House of Rep, House of Assembly. They are the group of kings now. That's their name. Does that name belong to us anymore? We are the first governments. But regardless, I'm not trying to start anything. The law is there right now, but actually, a king that actually has something to give, the government should work together with that kind of king and let in ideas, opinions on how we can actually bring peace, how we way forward. The way forward for Nigeria's problem is more spiritual than what you see. It doesn't matter if you have. I'm not cursing this country, but I'm saying if the kings don't get it right, this country cannot get it right. We are the head, and when the head is rotting, what can the body do?
Thank you very much, Kabiyesi, for coming on the program. Well, we have been speaking with the Oluwo of Iwo land, Oba Rasheed Adewale Akanbi Telu the First, and of course, has been letting us into the